Artificial intelligence is finding its way into every corner of the world, and unsurprisingly, one of the first spaces that we've seen it show up is in the world of online information. I'd be surprised to hear of anyone not having encountered AI-generated content at some level on YouTube and other platforms, and realistically, I think it's safe to say that most people have integrated AI chatbots into their personal digital toolkit. But while AI has a universe of potential yet to be explored, when it comes to explaining and understanding such a topic as gardening, I've become increasingly concerned about the state of the information economy, the space in which we consume and digest information for the sake of changing our own behavior and our lives. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at AI gardening video content. I'm going to show you exactly how videos are made, identifying a few key problems with the approach, and then providing some vision to consider going forward. And by the way, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Taylor, and on this channel, I specifically help gardeners explore sustainable and regenerative growing techniques. And much of the content that I'm going to be looking at in the world of AI-generated videos overlaps with those topics that we explore. And I want to make a quick clarification here. This is not a full denunciation of AI. I don't want to be the dude who rails against new tech, because honestly, new tech is virtually unstoppable. It's not really a matter of trying to stop it. It's more a matter of learning to live with it and take the best from it while hopefully discarding the worst of it. I'm sure that many people were highly skeptical of the internet when it was still a baby. I'm only 31, so I'm old enough to remember dial-up, but I don't actually have many memories pre-internet. And so, like the internet, we're likely going to be integrating AI into our society and culture over the next decade. It's a huge topic. What I'm talking about and will be unpacking in this video is really a specific format of video that I've begun to see more and more over the past few years. And to give you an idea of what kind of video I'm referring to, I'm just going to play a short clip of one that I saw recently.
Stop right there. If you're about to toss those seeds into soil, you might be making the same mistake that cost me an entire growing season. What I'm about to show you isn't just some typical seed starting advice. This is the stuff nobody talks about until it's too late. Trust me, the next 8 minutes could save you months of frustration and actual money.
Okay, I'll be honest and say that I'm really unsure how people are actually able to watch that. The cadence of the AI voice, the script, the images even, are very awkward. Not trying to be rude to the person who made that video, but I will say clearly that I think this is a very low quality and cringy video to watch. But despite my opinion, there are hundreds, thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of AI channels just like this one. And some of them are better than others, but all of them follow a similar format. Oftentimes I've found that AI gardening channels are focused on mysterious or ancient or secret gardening techniques. And I can only imagine that that is because it's both eye-catching for curious and open-minded gardeners, while also being difficult to replicate in the real world without using AI or even just stock images. And so real-world gardening YouTubers haven't made content on those topics as much. Whatever the reason, I think that there are a number of potential issues. But before we get into those issues, I want to show you how a typical AI video can be made, because the tools are out there and available to use for anyone. If you've used ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other bots, Gemini for instance, you know how this works. You type in a prompt and you see what it gives you. So I opened up a private browser and I didn't sign in just to try to get something as close to an unbiased, fresh take from ChatGPT. And I gave it this prompt. Give me an idea for a viral YouTube video that focuses on hidden or mysterious gardening techniques. Simple as that. It responded with, here's a high virality concept built around mystery, secrecy, and visual payoff. And then it gave me the title for a video, I tested ancient forbidden garden techniques for 30 days, followed by a rough outline for the video. It gave 5 different techniques that I could explore and gave me a general structure to the video. And from here, I would need to prompt it to start to fill out the script from within the outline. So I decided to change the title to 5 ancient forbidden gardening techniques, and I had it write me a script for the first section. And then I copy and pasted part of the script that it gave me into a text-to-voice generator. I selected a sort of mysterious sounding male voice, tinkered a bit with the settings, and downloaded it. And here's what it sounds like.
This method is over 2,000 years old. It was used in dry regions of North Africa and parts of China long before modern irrigation systems existed. And somehow, we stopped using it. It's called Ola irrigation, and it almost feels like cheating.
From here, I can go to any AI model and start to generate images or even short video clips that approximate what the script is talking about. And then I just need to put them together and overlay the audio. Now, what's wild is that it's not like there's zero effort put into making a video like this, but literally anyone can make it fairly easily. I'm not saying that all of these videos are the exact same, but faceless AI channels are by and large easily replicable, and there's no actual need to do anything in the real world. So now that you kind of get a sense for how a lot of these are produced, I want to explore some of the implications. The first thing being, I've noticed that within these videos, there is very little incentive or felt need to validate the scientific rationale or to cite any findings, whether personal or those performed in studies, that might show that the information is in fact reliable. In other words, there's no one standing behind a camera saying, I've done this and it works. And that's really the bare minimum that I need to hear from someone in a YouTube video. There's oftentimes, most times from what I can tell, no intention of explaining how and why something might work or be true, other than just really vague words like, you won't believe this, or it will truly shock you how well this works, whatever that means. And I think that part of the reason that very little data, personal or otherwise, is provided in these particular videos is because there's likely no personal data that the person publishing the video is relying on, but also because there's little incentive for the videos to actually produce results for the viewer. And what I mean by that will become clear when I share some of the process that we undergo when it comes to our video making. But essentially, the YouTube game, at least for these channels, is a view-chasing game, not a viewer loyalty game. With the World Wide Web and YouTube's audience at their disposal, if views are the goal, they're going to optimize for intrigue and really good packaging. Intrigue being the secret gardening hack that every Amish farmer knows, or 20 secret plants the government doesn't want you to know about. The packaging being the thumbnail, or the image that's presented on the cover of the video before you select it to view it. The information contained inside the video is really of little consequence, because once they get you in the door, half of the work is done. Now, a lot of people will quickly realize that the video isn't exactly delivering on the promise that it held out in the title and the thumbnail, and they'll quickly click off of it. But a lot of people won't realize that. And when viewer loyalty is not a legitimate goal, these channels can afford to clickbait large portions of their potential audience because they aren't exactly trying to get people to trust them. They just need eyes to watch their videos. Advertisers will pay AI channel creators regardless of whether the same people are coming back to watch their videos or not. And with how easy it is to make these videos today, they're able to pump out videos almost as fast as they want to. The second concern that I have with this style of video has to do with what I call the AI echo chamber. And if you've used an AI chatbot like ChatGPT or Claude, you might know that while these AIs appear to be deeply knowledgeable, they're also vastly more interested in affirming you and your previously held beliefs than providing you with well-rounded takes. AIs will rarely challenge your ideas or thoughts directly, unless directly prompted to do so, which I encourage you to do if you use these with any frequency. Asking an AI to provide a reasonable counterposition to the one that you just gave it, or asking it to push back on the potentially weak areas of your thinking, can make conversations quite a bit more valuable. Without doing that, it's hard to know what is exactly true without specifically asking AIs to cite their sources. And that's just the case for clear-cut information. Even when they do cite their sources, always go check them out. I'll admit that I use AIs as search engines sometimes in order to find websites and videos that I can learn from so that I don't have to rely just on what the AI feeds me. A decent amount of the time, I'll add, the links that they give me are broken or link to a page that doesn't exist. We've all heard about the really obvious chatbot hallucinations, like how ChatGPT doesn't know how many R's are in the word strawberry. But when it's saying something that sounds right, and maybe you already think a lot of similar stuff, you need to be careful. The concern with regard to the videos that we're talking about is that I don't know how much fact-checking is actually occurring prior to publishing. And it can be hard to tell what is actually made up and what is true when you're just hearing something definitively stated by an AI voice. Again, many, probably not all, but many of these channels simply are not interested in providing deeply factual information or original opinions. It's not their priority. The priority is intrigue. The priority is capturing your view. And the last major concern that I have with regard to AI gardening videos is probably the biggest one. And it's also maybe the most obvious, although after reading some of the comments on some of these videos, it's a little hard to tell sometimes. It's simply that what's shown in the videos is not real. The content in a lot of these videos is imagined by a program. It's showing what could be real. But think about the difference there. Sometimes I talk about, on this channel, I talk about a future for agriculture that's not a full reality yet. But then I'm going and working on contributing to that reality. If I show you a seed starting technique that you could use, it's either one that I've tried before or actively use. And I have real opinions about how and why it works in my experience. When I show you the state of our farm right now, I can't really hide the fact that we're still in the stage of getting it built. If you've followed our channel for a while, you know that we recently moved at the time of this video being released. And you know that we're actively working on starting a flower farm from scratch. Right now, at this point in time, it's winter. We barely have even any garden beds installed yet. We're working on building the chicken coop and pulling up old irrigation and cleaning. It's not flashy, but it's real. And I have a hunch that it's somewhat relatable. What concerns me about AI gardening videos is what concerns me about influencer gardening channels. And I'm talking about folks who have large teams of workers who have cleaned up and installed most of their gardens and then maintain them, while the influencer gets to just kind of walk in and harvest and pretend like it's just them. The stuff that they show is not quite attainable for most gardeners, and so it leaves many of us feeling discouraged. AI gardening channels are sort of like the fullest expression of influencer gardening channels. They show pictures of perfect soil, perfect veggies, perfect everything. And it's just not possible to achieve for people like you and me. Don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to being able to show you a beautiful farm this summer, but it will have been work that my wife and I actually did with our hands. And more importantly, hopefully, it will actually empower some of you to pursue something similar or something that you actually want to have when it comes to your garden or your homestead or your farm. Now, I'm not making this video in order to elicit a pat on the back from you guys watching, but I wanted to give you a peek under the hood with regard to how we make our videos to compare and contrast the AI gardening video production that we looked at earlier. When I start working on a video, I do so by thinking about what I'm up to right now, what I'm learning about, or a video that I could make that I think might be helpful to the most amount of people within the niche that we are in, and hopefully a little bit beyond. And once I decide on the topic, I like to think about the title for the video. I like to list a few options for myself to choose from, and then I brainstorm some ideas for what the thumbnail might be able to look like. I need to think about what would be an interesting thumbnail that might encourage someone to actually click on the video, but it also has to be a picture that's possible for us to be able to take. And then I might even go back and tweak the title a little bit so that it gives more information about what the video is actually going to be about. And it's really important that, to me, that whatever I've communicated the video is going to be about in the title and thumbnail, that is in fact what the video is going to be about. I am concerned with viewer loyalty. I want you guys to come back and watch more videos in the future and previous videos that we posted so that we can actually help you achieve your gardening goals. And so I do a brain dump where I write out all my thoughts on the subject. I edit this list, sort through the material, and find what's relevant for the video. And then I make an outline for the video. Then I work on the script. And sometimes scripts take 5-10 hours to write, not including potentially necessary research. I do my best to fact check everything that I'm talking about and make sure that I'm not misleading anyone too much. Of course, I try to make it known when I'm stating a personal opinion. And then once I have my script ready, Cassidy and I wait until a specific day of the week that's our filming day, and we coordinate with grandparents to watch our kids. Or we set up our kids with an audiobook or TV time, and hopefully a nap for our littlest. And then we film the A-roll talking head, and that's this right here. That's the part of the video where I'm actually standing here and talking to you. And then there's the B-roll, which is everything else that we want to show in order to more fully illustrate what I'm talking about. Hopefully this B-roll is actually gonna make things make more sense to the viewer as I'm describing something. And then after we film the video, the talking head, and collect the B-roll, not to mention actually doing the thing, which in some cases can take days or weeks or even months to accomplish, Cassidy edits the video footage together to make what becomes the video that we post to YouTube. And this is yet more hours of work. Now, why am I telling you this? It's again, not because I'm trying to get some nice comments from you guys and tell me how much our videos mean to you, even though some of you probably will say that because you're super nice and supportive people. The actual reason that I want to point this out is because this is what every real YouTuber who stands in front of a camera and says something that they've prepared and then edits it and puts it up for everyone to see has to do and wants to do. And I know that there is some amount of work that AI channel owners have to put in their videos to make them, but it's not the same. It's not the same amount of work that actual real life gardeners, people who want to teach and share, have to do in order to make a video. And so I want to start to conclude this video with a final potential outlook on where the future of AI content creators leads us and why I think that you should prioritize watching real people over AI videos. I recently read a book by a man named Cory Doctorow, in which he outlines the system and process by which digital technologies start off revolutionary and extraordinarily useful, only to gradually descend into less and less helpful, often exploitative forms. And this process, along with the title of the book, is called enshittification. And pardon the language if it's offensive to you, but this process of enshittification, by which we're watching our social media platforms and the internet at large be afflicted by, is certainly going to affect AI in the coming years. In other words, AI is going to get a lot better at creating believable videos, voices, scripts, all of it. But also over time, AI large language models are going to become rapidly less and less helpful to the users, while extracting more and more value out of the consumers and the folks seeking to improve upon them. And the way that companies do this is by making the best products initially, dominating and owning a near complete share of the market. Google is really the only online search engine that matters at this point in history, for example. But now that they've dominated this space, they have increasingly less and less incentive to feed you the information that you're looking for within one search query. It plays to their benefit to actually force you to spend more time searching for information and less time finding it, so that they can force you to search more and feed you more advertisements. A year ago, large language models like ChatGPT and Claude felt shockingly generous with how much they were willing to give to their users, but they've already started to degrade, imposing rate limits and usage caps, even ads. The product still works, but that is likely just because there's still a fairly open bid for who's actually going to claim the #1 title. And my guess is that each of them will settle into providing a sort of unique service that works best. Claude, for example, so I've heard, is so far the most useful at helping write code. ChatGPT currently still holds the name brand associated for a more conversational tone AI chatbot. As higher paying business customers get more involved, we're going to see a more thorough integration of these models into our culture and our work lives. And this is pretty much here from what I can tell. But also over time, prioritization is going to be given to advertisers and then much larger entities and shareholders than the regular customers, consumers. And what this means is that we'll start to see a steady decline in overall quality of production. But with AI having integrated itself completely into our lives, we won't really be able to do without it, which means that the AI companies have less and less incentive to make their product useful. By that time, they'll know that we can't leave. And if we were to take this to the utmost extreme, we could maybe guess that AI YouTube channels, to bring it back, would become the new norm, with less and less real-life creators having a chance to compete. But then once the AI videos are all we've got and there's no clear ability to prove what they're claiming, the information largely becomes useless. It's just a sea of questionable ideas that may or may not work in the real world. Again, this is an extreme outcome, and it's pretty much impossible to know how all of this actually shakes out and what it'll look like in the long term. But I think there is a possible future where the internet becomes unusable for a time as AI-generated misinformation dominates the airwaves. So to recap, my intent with this video is not to denounce AI and to try to get you to jump ship completely. That's not even really a possibility at this point. It's here to stay, and it's very hard to predict what the future of AI will exactly look like, even 1 year from now. And remember that these LLMs have only been around for a little under 4 years now, and they've largely been accepted as the new norm. What I want to draw your attention to is how at this moment AI gardening videos, for this small precise example, might be able to give you some legitimate ideas on things that you could try, but they can't claim to actually give you 100% true information, and they certainly can't claim to have actually done any of the stuff that they talk about in the videos that they're making. On the flip side, it's definitely the case that real people can and do lie on the internet, or even to put it softer, could provide misleading information. But generally speaking, I think that it's still more valuable and worth your time learning from real people with real experiences grounded in the real world. There's a lot more to be said on this topic, but I think that we're just going to leave it there for now. If you'd like to keep up with me and get gardening tips advice and ideas sent to your email inbox. You can sign up for my email newsletter. I've been very consumed with farm prep work over the past few months, so I've been away from the computer a lot more lately, but I will try to be giving more updates and ideas coming soon. Comment below what you're up to in your garden and what you want to be working on this year. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.